What are the primary issues, according to you, associated with global climate change?
So, in my opinion, one of the main issues associated with the climate change is, of course, the presence of extreme weather events. For example, the events that took place not long time ago in Valencia is an important example of these extreme weather events. So the temperature is rising pretty quickly, and also the frequency and the intensity of these events is rising. For example, hurricanes, heat waves, floods, and also drought tend to disrupt the ecosystem and the biodiversity and threaten the human health. These also have an important economic cost for the significant property damage. Another important issue is, of course, the rising of sea levels because of the melting of the glaciers and the ice cap. This problem threatens, of course, the coastal communities, the infrastructure, and the ecosystems, and there is an increased risk of flooding, storm surges, and erosions. And in particular, island and coastal cities are at risk of displacement. Another important problem is represented by the ocean warming and the acidification, and these problems are deeply linked. So they threaten both the marine ecosystem. I can briefly explain these problems. So the temperature is rising. So also the CO2 absorption by the water is rising, and the water is becoming more warm and acid. And this tend to disrupt marine lives, especially coral reefs. Coral reefs are bleaching, and the biodiversity is there is an important reduction in biodiversity, and this increase in CO2 absorption tend to decrease the pH of the water. So the organism with calcium carbonate cells and skeletons, like shellfish and also coral, are in danger, and this tend to disrupt also the marine food chains. Another important issue is represented, of course, by the threats to biodiversity and ecosystems all around the world. So there is an important loss of habitats such as forests, wetlands, and also coral reef, like I said before. And for the species is very hard to survive and to reproduce. Also, the migration pattern and the breeding cycles are disrupted, and there is a reduced availability of food and water. So there is an important loss of biodiversity, and this tend to weaken the resilience of the ecosystems, and this tend to reduce the providing of essential servicing. Also, the water scarcity is an important issue. It's a growing global issue, exacerbated obviously by the climate change. The temperature is rising, and there is a changing of the precipitation. There is an increase in drought and reduced water availability. Another important issue, of course, is the human health risks. For example, heat strokes and respiratory diseases, because of the air pollution, of course. There are more vector-borne diseases because the habitat of the species is increasing because the temperature is rising, and also extreme weather events are more present. So as a consequence, there are injury and also mental health issues problems due to the trauma and the stress. And also, of course, another important issue is represented by the economic impacts. So the damage of the infrastructure and the crop failures, but also the health issues.